You're tuned into the Labor Forum here on WRFG 89.3 FM. This is Diane Mathowitz, and the co-host today is Valerie Redmond. And in the studio with us, this is exciting, folks. We have two actors, two people who are on the stage and can portray all different kinds of characters and have us convinced that this is real. So in the studio with us is Marguerite Hanna. Hi, Marguerite.
Hello. Good to be
and Bill Murphy.
Hi, how are you?
Great. So here's why we have them here, because they are union actors. And we want to talk today, as we do at this program all the time, about why belonging to a union, having some say on your job, having some protection, is important for every single kind of worker, including actors. So I don't know which one of you wants to start. Could you tell us what Actors Equity is? How did it get started? What does it do?
Go first, Bill.
Actors Equity was founded in 1913. We've just celebrated our 100th anniversary. It is the Union of Professional Actors and Stage Managers. It covers stage actors, not movie and television actors. And it was founded to ensure that we get the human rights that everyone wants. Apparently there was a history of people going out on tours and being stranded when the producers ran out of money, or insane amounts of rehearsal that went unpaid, or
No hotel.
No hotel.
No hotel, or really getting stranded out of town. Now that's not nice. Not nice at all.
All right, so this has been around 100+ years.
Yes.
Right.
All right, so one of the things, of course, people are, and I was curious about, is how does it work? Obviously, an actor, as one of you, both of you are, you belong to the union. Now, how is it when you go and audition for a play or a part in a play? How does the workers, how do your protections turn out in real life?
Well, the rule books for Actors Equity are real extensive. They're huge. We have rule books for every category of theater. So the number of seats a theater has that can sell tickets for nightly determines what level contract they're under. And so every contract has stipulations about our auditions, that they have to see us, when they have to see us, how they have to notify us, how much money we get on a scale, what is our base scale and up, how many hours a week we can work, how much overtime they can work us, conditions, health conditions, you name it. It covers everything, like things like if they have fog in a show, what kind of fog they can have. They can't try to kill us by something that's like, poisonous, but they thought it would look pretty. So there's a lot of that involved that just allows us to come to work and feel comfortable that we are working within at least a minimum of opportunities and situations, and producers have to take that into consideration.
All right, so I've got another question. So in Atlanta, we know that Horizon Theater, here in the building, the same building that WRFG is, and both of you are affiliated with Horizon, and so it is a theater which employs members of Actors Equity. Are there others in the area?
There are many Atlanta theaters that have some level of Actors Equity involvement. The local union members do a fundraiser each year to raise money for an organization. I'm not sure if we're allowed to say which one it is, but
I don't know.
All right, it's Open Hand Atlanta, and we have gotten a lot of participation from all of the theaters in town that have some affiliation with Actors Equity, and I believe there are 13 theaters that are participating, and there are probably more that hire actors from the union from time to time, but a good many.
So you explained to me on the phone, because I had so many questions about this, because it seemed as though there's a big difference between the kind of unions that I'm familiar with, which is an industrial union. I was a UAW worker on an assembly line for General Motors, and we had a contract, and it covered, all of us right there. But this is kind of an individual thing in some ways. Okay, so let's say either one of you goes to audition for a play. Now, can you be the only union member that gets chosen to be in the play, or are there others, and how does it work?
Well, okay, so I was talking about the size of a theater based on how many seats a theater can accommodate. So the bottom level is called a guest artist contract, because like Bill and I cannot work unless that producer gets a union contract. We're union actors. We can't just go to a theater that's not professional and say, oh, I'll work, because we gave that up once we joined the union. But if an organization that's not a union shop wants to hire us, they have to contact our union and get a guest artist contract, which will stipulate how much health insurance they have to put into our fund, how much pension money they have to put into our fund, and how much, and a guarantee that we get paid. Horizon is a union shop. It might be small, but it's under a small professional theater contract. The Alliance Theater is a union shop, and they're under a LORT contract, which is a League of Regional Theater Companies, and it's all based on the number of seats. So that way, for instance, Horizon may have to have a minimum salary range, but the Alliance that has 3 times as many seats can't say that the base salary is the same thing, that kind of thing. And it's national, so if we went to another state, we would have that same kind of relationship with the theaters in other states.
And so, more specifically, if there's a theater who normally they do not hire equity actors, but the director really feels that he needs this one particular actor for a show, he can go to the union and work out a contract so that they are able to hire on a one-time basis that actor, as long as they pay him the fees, the pension and health, the insurance, everything. Our cost goes way up once we join the union, and so that's why some theaters who are they might have to scale back their participation if they are financially struggling. They might have to go with non-equity actors to
round off. And it is a challenge, like in the state of Georgia, because it's a right-to-work state.
Right.
So you have that little dance that has to be done, because they can't, no one can tell an actor they can't work without an equity contract, without a union contract. But, we don't do it because we've joined. And, I am of an age where I'm looking forward to my pension contributions coming back to me.
So this is kind of sort of not so much about a union, but could both of you talk about how it is you both got involved in making a decision that acting would be your life work?
Sure, you want to go first?
Oh, wow. I mean, I was the kid growing up that made everybody sit in the living room while I did my little routine. So it kind of was like, and I actually gave it up after high school and did something else in college, and everyone was shocked. And then after I was out for a while, I was like, oh, that was stupid. And I came back to my first love. So it's kind of like always has been who I was.
Right, and I started, I was acting in high school. Before I went to college, I sat out for a year to decide that's what I really wanted to do. I worked retail for a year. And then at the end of that year, I thought, no, this is going to stick with me. This is what I wanted. So I went to college and studied acting, went to grad school, studied acting, came back here to Atlanta, where I'm from Decatur, and just went to work. My first professional job was here at the Horizon Theater. Then I worked here, that was back in the late 80s. And then I didn't work here again until a couple of years ago, and I'm in a show that's currently in rehearsal now.
All right, well, what would you say to listeners that we have, who have toyed with the idea that this might be what they want to do? And of course, their parents very likely could be saying, the starving artist kind of thing. And I have to say, I'm kind of curious why everybody wouldn't join this union, given that you have pension and health care and all these things that are connected with it.
Well, there are all sorts of reasons not to join. Young people, the last thing they're thinking of is pension and health care and retirement. Also, if you're a young person, there are hundreds of people just like you who are not in the union who could be hired cheaper than you can. I tell people who are saying, I don't know if I should join the union, and I said, you'll know when it's time. If you are in demand, if you are working steadily, if you have made a name for yourself, this is the time to join. If you're about to leave town to become an actor in New York or LA or Chicago, join Equity before you leave. It's going to be easier here, and you'll need your Equity card once you get to one of those cities.
I'm just checking to see whether Valerie had a question, because I have all kinds of
Oh, I'm just really excited. You mentioned that if they're going to like bigger cities, bigger venues, it really is better to have an affiliation.
Georgia being a right-to-work state, you can work without an Equity contract here.
Exactly. But if you're going to go to Chicago, or if you're going to go to maybe Boston or New York or one of the larger venues,
And
then
if you
it
want to
really
be
does
seen
give
at the
you-
auditions, they have
Yeah.
to see you if you're an Equity actor.
Right.
Exactly.
They have to give
So
you an appointment for an audition.
It gives
Really?
you that kind of
Oh, so you get the
support and
foot in the
right,
door?
that's
Right.
excellent,
And the
excellent.
thing is, you have to have your card.
Mhm.
You know, your card has to be up to date. So that's the other thing. You go to another market and you walk in, you sign the
to see
roster,
one.
and you
Okay.
pull out your equity card, and you're like, okay, I'm paid up.
I'm a member in good standing of Actors Equity.
Okay, everybody, it's a blue card. You want
It's
it?
blue this time. They changed colors.
Well, now it's interesting. They issue them periodically to make sure we're paid up too.
Right,
So.
right.
Okay, I have another question. All right, you mentioned at the very beginning that this is not the same as the Screen Actors Guild, which is
That's
SAG.
SAG.
Yes.
And then what's AFTRA?
They are combined now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so SAG and AFTRA, it's like, used to be the difference between film and television and radio or whatever.
AFTRA is the American Federation of Television and Radio Artists.
Okay. Now they've joined together.
That's
Yes, they have.
All right, so one of the questions and one of the reasons I was kind of excited about having union actors here in the studio, besides the fact that, as I said, we're always trying to say every worker needs to have the protection of the contract, regardless of what you do. So now Atlanta is becoming this sort of boom town for film, for video. Is there a relationship then between the kinds of jobs and the auditions you would have and the fact that there's now more movies here? I mean, can you jump from a live theater production to screen?
Well, a lot of actors join both unions. They're members of Actors Equity and they're members of SAG and AFTRA. Okay, the two of us, Bill and I, just happen to only be equity actors, stage actors. But for instance, I just went to a SAG AFTRA Agents Roundtable just last week. That the SAG office opened up to union and non-union actors. And so it really, the same benefits we listed in our world, on the stage world, is kind of the same way it works in TV and film. And because Atlanta has become a big, thriving TV and film market again, it is competitive with a lot of people moving here trying to get some of the work. So, like Bill was saying, once you have enough credits where your resume shows that you are a professional, then you should join the unions, and then it distinguishes you from
The rest of the pack.
the rest of the pack. You know, and then you do compete more directly with the out-of-town people who are coming from LA and New York.
And you have cards.
Yes, trying to get some money. So, yeah, it's really kind of the same.
Something that you had said a little while ago, Bill, about your union's activism in community empowerment. And I'm just thinking how important unions are, any union, to generating a conversation, supporting the quality of life issues, and besides the open hands you mentioned. Besides that, are there other areas where the equity, actors equity?
Many in different communities throughout the country, local union members may be involved in different community outreach. This is the project that we have adopted, and we have raised almost $100,000 over the last 4 years during our holiday fundraising campaigns. We're very proud of that.
Equity Fights AIDS is big, coming out of the New York office.
Okay, that's great.
And whenever we get our newsletters, we see, actually, like Bill was saying, in every community, in our newsletters, you see pictures from all of the regions of groups of people with, we raised money for this, or we've raised money for Actors Fight AIDS, or all the different good, responsible things to do.
That's what, to me, makes being a union member, when you can become a part of a whole that's supporting a particular goal. And I think all of it raises the quality or the standard of living, even in a place that's a right-to-work state. And, we have a long way to go. We have a long way to go before, we can say that the quality of life for the citizens of Georgia makes sense. And, but the group coming together is a very important part of that building.
And I'm sure this is with all unions, with membership comes an expectation of excellence and experience. And so if you see, we're all very proud of the asterisk beside our name in the program. That means we are a member. And so if you see the asterisk next to the actor's name, then you should expect more from that person. And that is not at all to say that there are not really, really wonderful actors who have not chosen to join the union. There are, I mentioned one reason earlier for not joining. There are others too, and there are several very wonderful actors in town who I can think of who just have, for whatever reason, they don't need the insurance, they don't need the pension and health, they don't. They want to be free to. They want to be free to work at as many theaters as they can without restriction. They've just chosen not to join.
Exactly.
Can I ask you a question? So you were talking about Atlanta, but what are there other cities in the state of Georgia where you have union members and who get to work in their theaters in those cities?
Sure, there's the Springer Opera House in Columbus. I'm sure there's Savannah. They get spillover from Charleston. I would guess those may be the main theater. I don't know how much of a union presence is in Athens or Rome or
Macon or
right.
Valdosta. Okay. Let me ask still another question about the relationship between all of those involved in the crafting of a concert, a play, a theater experience, a symphony. We've had the symphony workers here on this program when they were locked out both times. We've had IATSE, the stagehand union workers here. What are all the others that, because you mentioned to me on the phone that there are all these other, I guess you'd call them craft unions or unions of other elements of production.
Right, and very few of them have a presence here in Atlanta outside the stage managers, the stagehands, IATSE. Directors, but there are not a lot of Atlanta directors who are members, are there?
No.
Too bad.
No?
No, but I have written some of those contracts.
Okay, all right. So there are some, yes, but
So does that mean people like costumers, set designers, I'm trying to think of who else, makeup people, they all have a separate union if they were
Well,
here?
yeah, because you just mentioned, I always pronounce it wrong, IATSE.
IATSE.
Yeah. So when it comes to stage, primarily actors and stage managers are under equity. Directors have their own union, and then craft people have their own union. So, you know, part of it is kind of interesting because there is not one union of performing artists, period. It doesn't exist. We all have, and it's probably because even though we work collectively, how we create our product is a little different. Everyone does it a little differently. You know, like for instance, stage managers and actors need to also be covered with all these weeks of rehearsal and performances, whereas a director is interested in being covered for the time that they're thinking about the creation through to opening night, and then their obligation is finished. So since everyone has a different obligation to the process, that might be why there's so many different types of unions.
All right, so we're in this building here with Horizon Theater, which has been around for several decades, I think.
31 years.
Yeah, and actually, Marguerite, you actually have a job with Horizon besides being an actor.
Yes.
So let's talk just for a few minutes about this theater, because this theater company and this theater, because it has a progressive mission comparable to, in many respects, WRFG's mission, and is always producing, I think, really thought-provoking plays as well, sometimes just plain silly, funny ones. But maybe just a little bit about Horizon.
Well, I mean, I think it's this is the perfect place for Horizon to be. When you think about different theaters in the marketplace, Lisa Adler, Jeff Adler, our founders, were always interested in the conversations of today. And so, and thought-provoking and giving people something to leave with, to think about. But as I said, the older we've gotten, now we want people to leave with hope also. So, so we do a lot of plays that deal with, we don't do a lot of history pieces unless they have some relationship to our contemporary society. And we like to bring plays that bring people into today's conversations. And so I think we do it well, and like you said, and then when we know people just need to laugh because life is kind of tough these days, we make sure that we bring the laughter also. And we are a union shop, and I think we're proud of it because it's very important to Lisa that she sews back into the artists in this market, and that we take care of the artists in this market, because without the artists in this market, there is no theater.
So Bill, I'm going to ask you if you can in like 30 seconds or less to talk about the play that you are rehearsing. And of course you can't give ticket prices or anything, but you could certainly let people know how they would be able to get a ticket through the
Sure,
website.
let me say that first. Go to horizontheater.com. The name of the play is Vanya and Sonia and Masha and Spike. It's Christopher Durang's newest comedy. It won the Tony Award for Best Play in 2013. It's about a family who lives in a house in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, and a few people who surround them, and wow, how do you describe?
I don't know how to describe this one except for the fact that it's got good message and it's funny.
I'm Vanya.
You're Vanya. All right, folks. So again, we want to thank Marguerite, Hannah, and Bill Murphy. Stage name is William S. Murphy.
There was already a Bill Murphy in the union, so I had to use my legal name of William S.
Murphy. So much. I truly enjoyed this interview. I hope our listeners did. I know that we here in the studio did. And we hope to have you back again.
Thank
soon.
you.
Well, thank you so much for having us.
Come down and see us if you would like to. The show opens on Friday
Yes.
and runs here through the end of June, and it's a co-production with the Aurora Theater, and then we'll run in October up in Lawrenceville.
Okay. All right, listeners, though you have just, as I just said, you've been listening to Marguerite Hanna and Bill Murphy, both of them members of Actors Equity. Please tune in again next Monday. We'll have another great show about workers and their lives and why they all want to belong to a union. Take care now. Bye-bye.
Thank you.